Welcome back to LimQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is today in 2 days. My god. 2 days from this very moment. I can go to my home screen and click A here and play the game. I won't, because I'm going to be streaming it live on Friday on my Twitch channel, which is always linked in the description, and upload my playthrough on my VODs channel, which is also linked in the description. My excitement is growing, it feels like by the minute. This morning we got an interview, and I'm actually not sure if it was taken down again by Nintendo, which is why I'm going to be talking about it tomorrow, because I tried to access it earlier. I read about it in other threads and in YouTube videos, and in my Discord. Again, I'm still completely spoiler free, don't worry. That's the only thing that I kind of wanted to look into, because obviously it's an official interview by the Nintendo developers. Not sure if it's up. Actually, let me double check. I want to talk about a prediction for Tears of the Kingdom reviews today, which should be out tomorrow. Let me see. I'm gonna be very specific with my Google search so I don't get spoiled. Ask the developer Volume 9. Oh no, it's out now. Okay, it's definitely out. It's on the Nintendo webpage. I wanted to make sure that that didn't unintentionally get out early, because there's some interesting facts in there. But before we get into the interview, I want to talk about my prediction for the Tears of the Kingdom review scores today. Obviously, without going into anything, like I said, I'm still completely spoiler-free myself. Other than that one thing I've seen on May 1st that wasn't officially revealed yet. But yeah, basically still completely spoiler-free. And I wanted to kind of still predict the review scores. I will predict the Metacritic score, which the Metascore, which, if you don't know what Metacritic is at this point, is essentially just like a website that kind of like summarizes other reviews from other websites. So it's not like an independent review like the one that you read on IGN or GameSpot, which some of these sources, especially IGN recently, I've kind of just completely forsaken when it comes to their review scores. The Metascore is a pretty accurate kind of like source to go to, because they just combine reviews from different sites into one score, and then later on they also combine, they let users rate on it, but there are two different ratings. The Metascore is the one from the actual reviewers. That's what people always look to. Currently, Breath of the Wild sits at a 97, which is incredibly high. It's considered one of Metacritic's must-play games. Elden Ring, which, like I said multiple times, was my favorite casual experience of all time, is actually quote-unquote only, I believe, sits at a 96. Let me double check if this is correct and I'm not spitting nonsense here. Yes, Elden Ring at a 96, Breath of the Wild at a 97. Incredibly high. Right, let me get that straight out there. My prediction for Tears of the Kingdom is that it will start tomorrow, when presumably the embargo ends and these reviews will get released and we potentially get a Metascore. My prediction is that we're going to start off at a 95, and I will explain you why. First of all, obviously standards have risen. Let me give you my opinion. First of all, I believe that Tears of the Kingdom will be a better game than Breath of the Wild, but I believe the only reason, obviously, that's possible is because Breath of the Wild exists, right? And this is where I'll talk more about the interview later. And kind of their ideas about it. But I believe they'll improve on everything. A bigger scope in terms of story, bigger scope in terms of gameplay mechanics, like everything better, blah, blah, blah. But obviously, I think without, that's not even I think thing. Obviously, Tears of the Kingdom wouldn't exist without Breath of the Wild. That's the entire foundation. They built the world there, and then Tears of the Kingdom perfected it. And that's exactly why I believe, because Metacritic combines these scores, what will happen. I think there will be a bunch of 100 out of 100, 10 out of 10 reviews that push the game up as high as possible, because it's shaping up to be one of the best games of all time. It's one of the most excited, like hyped up games of all time, and I'm trusting the Zelda team. I think they will deliver. However, I am already sure that there will be a bunch of outlets that will have that will go for the DLC approach. What do I mean with the DLC approach? There's still people up to this day that say, yeah, it's still playing in the same world, it looks the same, performance issues, the Switch. And I feel like simply, and I know this shouldn't really go into a rating, but I feel like there's going to be review sites, maybe even credible sources, that because of the reason that the game is so hyped, are going to give it a lower rating, to be like, here, our review is a little bit different. Everyone's saying it's this gorgeous, perfect game. And of course, this wouldn't be a sign for a credible review outlet, but like, yeah, it's actually just a DLC, guys. We're only giving it an 80 or 70. I think those sort of reviews will initially drag it down, and then maybe over time, as people actually realize how good of a game it is, and more reviews will be collected, I think we're gonna go up towards the 97 that Breath of the Wild is at right now. And that's still, that would, if you compare the numbers, that would mean, okay, so they're like, both games are like equally as good, but keep in mind, our expectations for video games have obviously constantly risen over time. What used to be a 97 wouldn't be a 97 anymore right now. If Elden Ring came out in 2017, it would be 100 or like a 99, I'm pretty sure. So with all of that in mind, I believe that tomorrow, or the first time the Metascore will become available, my prediction is 95. I'm happy to be wrong though if it randomly appears to be a 99, which I'm pretty sure 100 is simply impossible given all of the parameters. Especially when we look at things like performance and stuff that will always plague the Switch. If it's somehow at a 99, 98, I mean, that would be the most hype thing ever. But my reasonable prediction is going to be a 95, and obviously this is just for fun. Nothing here means anything. Even the game being a 95 wouldn't mean anything. We get to play the game soon enough. But I kind of wanted to talk about the interview I read, specifically 2 points that I thought really stood out. So there was an interview, an official Nintendo Ask the Developer interview, where they talked to a bunch of different developers here, to Eiji Aonuma, obviously, Hidemaru Fujibayashi, who is another producer of that game, who else is on there? Takuhiro Dota, and Satoru Takizawa, and Hajime Wakai. And Hajime Wakai is basically working at the game's sound effects and overall like sound design on the musical side. And one thing that they said was really interesting to me, because it stood out to me a ton when watching the Tears of the Kingdom previews. They basically said that they were using a new sound engine that makes sound effects in the game sound more realistic. For example, bird calls will be more dynamic now. You can basically tell how far something like a bird is away from you when you work through the game. And I immediately noticed this during the previews. All of the sounds have went under basically some small updates, and it does. You do notice it. I don't think it's just like a small detail. The first thing I noticed was the explosion sound. Here we have like this kind of like deep muffled explosion every time you blow something up, right? Go back to those previews and listen to the explosion sound. A lot of people said they sound more like Wind Waker, but it sounds so bright and like destructive. I love the new explosion sounds, and I can't wait, because I'll probably be playing the game casually and constantly talk about, oh wow, this sound is different, this sounds so much better. And then we don't even have to talk about the music. I'm already sure the music is going to be absolutely amazing, and I'll be listening to it and have it in the background of my YouTube videos for years to come. But that was one interesting line. And then one line that Fujibayashi said was really interesting to me as well, which is that they basically, from the start, decided that the sequel was going to play in the same Hyrule. And I feel like this is kind of reframing this statement that a lot of people used in the past, where they said, yeah, basically Tears of the Kingdom is just a collection of DLC ideas. I feel like it's not really like that. They kind of gave away in this interview what started this entire process. People said we had these ideas and we wanted to make another DLC, so we made another game instead. I don't really think it went like that, given this interview. Basically, what Fujibayashi said here is that when they were making the game, they wanted to give players an option, basically an opportunity to keep playing after beating the game, which is something that I've made videos about in the past, literally. Let me see if I can find the right line here. It's actually Aonuma that said this part in particular. He basically said, after finishing development on the previous title, so they were done with Breath of the Wild, we wondered if we could make it possible for players to continue exploring the world after they've reached the game's ending, which is something that a lot of people wanted. People wanted to potentially see changes to the world after they had defeated the Calamity. So instead of doing this, they decided we want to revisit this Hyrule entirely, change it with new mechanics and new surprises for people to explore. And they never even considered making a brand new game world. This was the idea from the start. So it's not like they were like, oh yeah, we'll make another DLC. Nah, let's sell like a full price game. At least that's how they were talking about it in this interview, that they were completely set on revisiting this Hyrule and continue telling this world's story. And that's what we are about to witness in literally 2 days from now. Once again, if you want to hang out while you play the game or watch my playthrough, the links and the descriptions. Kind of gave my little Metacritic score prediction today, which is mostly for fun, and wanted to talk about this interview. This is basically, my friends, the last video I'm talking Tears of the Kingdom on this channel for now. Obviously, once the game is out, this is something I like repeating. I will use this channel, I will continue to use this channel to post small finding and explanation and tutorial videos for Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, if they do come out early, there will always be spoiler warnings. I can absolutely guarantee you that I will never just like on day 2 be like, this is a speedrun strat for the final boss. Of course not, because I'm going to be playing the game casually myself. As you can tell, I've been avoiding spoilers for like the last 10 days or whatever at this point myself. So they will slowly drop. It will be videos like here's a super efficient way to find a bunch of arrows, or here's maybe a cool trick to make a super powerful fuse weapon, and then later on it'll be speedrun tricks. But yeah, tomorrow what I want to do is I want to kind of talk about a final checklist for me, and even you included, about the last things that you might want to do in this game before you put it down, at least for some time. And then, last but not least, obviously, on the final episode, we are going to be getting our final location, watch our final memory, and then beat the game one last time. Thank you so much for watching. Tears of the Kingdom is on our doorstep now. I hope this week will be over fast for you, so we can get to Friday as soon as possible. Thank you for watching one more time. Peace.